Hello, it's Stuart, the Unrepentant Atheist, and thank you for viewing this video. So it has been my intention that every week I'm going to put out one video with two best calls, one from the Atheist Experience, which goes out on Sunday, and the other one from The Line, a hang-up with Matt Dillahunty and Jimmy Snow. My intention was to do a best call from each show. Unfortunately, having watched The Line on Monday of the Sunday program, I honestly couldn't find a single call which personally I found interesting enough to do on here. So I've got nothing from The Line, unfortunately, just dull calls which I just couldn't really get myself interested in any of them. As for the Atheist Experience, there were a couple of calls and I've picked on one of them, so we're going to go with that one. It was quite a long call. It was about 20 minutes long, and we're not going to hear the whole call, of course. I just happened to stop on a particular section of the conversation which I found interesting and which sort of made me chuckle once or twice, which is always a good sign. I've actually been accused of being a douchebag. Somebody left a comment saying they didn't realize atheists were such douchebags, that laughing at Christians and that type of thing. I'm a douchebag, all right. I do laugh at Christian bullshit, so no apologies for that. That's what I am, top class douchebag. So let's go with this call and see if I can be a douche about this as well.
That's immoral. You can't use that as a compass. So that just shuts it down. Well, there's other possibilities now.
Yeah. So they're asking him to define God. He spent 15 minutes asking why you're trying to prove God, etc. And they sort of went backwards and forwards. Didn't really get anywhere too much. But they finally come to the point. Why do you believe in God, and what's your definition of your God? Is it the Christian God or what? Anyway, let's hear what he's saying, because they've kind of undermined his idea of the Bible and the Christian God. And he didn't know there was slavery in the Bible, and he's saying, well, if there's slavery in the Bible, that sort of rules out the Christian God. However, anyway, let's listen to him.
That's where I'm saying defining who that God is before you're willing to even entertain the possibility and live your life that there is a God, and then question what that God is, and even with the Christian faith, right?
That's backwards, Greg. That's backwards.
Do you do that with anything else?
You don't start from the premise that there must be a God, and now I want to find out what this God is like. You don't start with that assumption.
Yeah, but that's what people generally do. You can accuse me of generalizing, but I've listened to so many Christians. They get this warm, sort of fuzzy feeling inside themselves. They're standing outside a cathedral, or religious site, say Sacré-Cœur in Paris. They suddenly get this overwhelming feeling that they're being watched over. They just know there's a God. Okay, there is a God. Now let's find out what kind of God that is. Which God is it? Let's define that God. No, that's what people generally do from what I've seen.
You're starting at third base and acting like you hit a triple. That's not how it works.
I like Dave. I think he's really, I really like him. I mean, he looks like an ex-preacher, and he is an ex-preacher. He really looks the part, and I like what he said just there about you're acting like you're on third base and you've hit a triple.
You don't start saying, I'm gonna believe there must be a God. Now let me get busy finding out who this God is and what he's like. Why start with the assumption that there must be a God? Because there's no evidence around us to present that. There's no evidence that would compel us to think that. The world works like it would without a God. So why start with the premise and the assumption that there's a God and then try to define that God? That's backwards, Greg. Do you see that?
It's not backwards. How is it backwards?
Tell me how.
Would you do that with anything else? Would you ever say, I'm going?
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, it's like with the Loch Ness Monster. It's like saying, I've got faith. I feel I've got this intuition that there's something in that Loch Ness. I don't know what it is, but it's there. So I've got that faith now. Now let's try and decide what it is.
Going to just go ahead and believe in Santa Claus, and then we'll figure out what kind of guy Santa is later, or do you like need the evidence first before you go on with that belief?
Brilliant. Love that example. Love that analogy. Santa Claus.
Well, you start off with that. You believe in Santa. You hear that there's a Santa. The evidence that you saw that the Santa is the Christmas giving. You find out that it's your parents, and that ends it. Right? There's no progress benefit to believing in God. I mean, believing in Santa Claus outside of what
course there is.
His story
when
is.
you believe in Santa Claus, it means you're a good little girl or boy, and that means you don't get coal. It makes you a better person. It gives you a moral compass.
Well, there you go. There was a short turn there.
Well, he's also saying that there's no benefit to continuing to believe in Santa Claus, but there being a benefit to believing in something doesn't make it true, does it? It's not one of the criteria for belief.
So why don't you believe in Santa Claus and then just kind of work out the details later?
I did believe in Santa Claus and then work the details.
Why don't you now?
Because they're evident.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I mean, look, with Santa Claus, what happens is when you're a child, your parents say there's this Santa Claus, and then you say, who's Santa Claus? What does he do? What does he look like? And then you hear he's a big guy, you know, big, jolly looking, kindly old man with a white beard and a red outfit, and he rides around on a sleigh at night dropping off presents. So, you know, I mean, as a child, you ask that question, and then you weigh up, do you believe in him or not? You don't start with belief just because somebody mentions Santa Claus.
This led to that. Well, if there is a Santa Claus, so there's no proof that there's no Santa Claus, but it proved that the Santa Claus, who Santa Claus was, is not who it was, right?
Well, let's
proof that
there's like 2,000 different versions of Christianity of different people who disagree on who God is and what kind of person God is. So, like, is it the same there?
Change who God is.
Well, let me ask you this:
it doesn't change who Santa Claus is.
What evidence have you seen, Greg, that would cause you to believe more firmly in a God? What evidence can you point to at this point in your life?
Just the following.
Do you notice what happened there? They've let him off with first defining what it is that he's claiming, and then proving it. So they're kind of buying into what he's saying. Do you agree with me that they've sort of let him off there, let him off the hook?
The philosophy of God, you know,
that's not evidence. That's not evidence. That's what evidence have you seen that would cause you to further believe in this God that you started with the assumption that he's there? So what evidence have you seen thus far in your life?
My life experience following that path, finding.
I mean, the Atheist Experience is quite a well-known show. If you're going to call the Atheist Experience, and then when asked, what's your evidence for your belief in God? And then you're silent for several seconds, you've made some major miscalculation in not preparing yourself with that evidence.
Finding out who that God is, that's still the path I'm going.
So what have you found?
More silence.
What have I found? I mean, it's just if I list the experiences I have that I came to that conclusion that the possibilities of God is all the same that from everybody else that believes in existence versus people that are claiming that they don't know until.
But you're still speaking in vagaries. What experiences, what concrete things have you experienced that make you believe in this God? You're still speaking in very vague terms.
Because everything that I say, it wouldn't be enough. Because if I had the answer, it would have been already broadcast before I even called. So what I'm saying
that's
is,
the thing, though. Like I ask again, would you use this same line of thinking for anything else? If I told you that I believed in any other God, or if I believed in Santa Claus, or if I believed in Roland the Magic Goblin in my closet, or any other thing ever, and I gave you the exact... knows Roland. I know
Yeah.
Roland. If I gave you the exact same spiel that you're giving us today, I had these experiences, and the more that I seek it out, the more I find these things, and I have this moral code written on my heart, and there's this benefit from believing. And if I said all of the same things, would you believe in any other thing other than your God? Would you believe in Santa? Would you believe in other gods? Would you believe in Roland the Magic Goblin, or anything else if I said exactly what you're saying right here?
I would take it in consideration. If you're defining that God to those specificities, that's what I would be investigating. I'm not taking to the heart of, as far as in Christianity, that
Oh, so he'll believe in his own God without defining it quite happily, but he's insisting that Forrest defines a God, and then he'll take it into consideration.
Jesus died and resurrected. I'm not taking to that heart. I'm not putting a defense on that. I can't prove that. It doesn't change the fact that the premise of a God is there. And if you cut that out, or if you wait until you hear that, you could miss out on improving yourself, or
Is that
bettering the
a
fortunes
reason
of
to
your life.
believe in anything else? Is what I want to know. What you just said just now. If you miss out on believing this, if you don't believe this, you're going to miss out on this opportunity to grow and be a better person. Exactly what you just said applies to the magic goblin that lives in my closet. Does that matter to you?
It matters. It matters to me to the extent of you showing me a computer and I operate the basics of it, and I don't learn any. I believe the computer's there. I believe this, but someone says you could do all these programming and stuff. I take your faith and I don't make any point do with it. It's not until I do action. Down to a light bulb. Okay, you could tell me the science of the light bulb. I don't need to know the science of the light bulb, but the God of the light bulb, in a most simplest, obscure way, the God of the light bulb is, hey, I could use this light bulb to go up to the attic to find that, that leaky air duct, or oh wow,
So,
But it sounds to me like
you keep saying. What it sounds to me like what you keep saying is that the only reason you have to believe in a God is because you don't have to think about it too much, and you may eventually feel better or do a good thing.
Yeah,
When there's countless other philosophies, there's countless other philosophies and faiths and lack of faith and like countless other ideologies and doctrines out there that also provide benefit both personal and community wide. There's lots of people like Dave and I. We don't believe in this God. We very strongly don't follow the Christian faith, and yet I think we're pretty good guys. We raise money for charity. We do what we can to make the world a slightly less shitty place than where we found it. And we don't need this belief to do so. So what's the point in believing this? It's the same thing as with the science thing. If you have all the benefits you need, why add in this baggage?
Eternal life, that's the reason. And despite what he said about not being too much attached to the Christian God, it's quite probable that he is a Christian, and that it's not so much all the personal growth and everything and being a better person that he's really that interested in, because as Forrest said, you don't need Christianity for that at all. There's no real evidence for that, but nothing else really offers you eternal life in paradise, so of course he won't admit to that.
It sounds like, Greg, that you're saying it doesn't really matter what God we believe in or what the attributes and definitions of this God is, just as long as we believe in something, because it'll make us behave better and be better people.
No.
But it doesn't matter if that
You
God's
have to
really
do
true.
something with it.
With what?
You have to do. What are you
something
doing with
with what?
evolution?
No.
What are you doing with knowing
learning.
evolution?
We're learning how we came to be, and it helps us understand our human progress.
Are you learning it, or are you getting it fed from someone else that did the work to learn it?
Well,
I actually do research.
And you're talking to an
that's my job.
evolutionist, right?
But like that's
that's good.
Even if I wasn't, like the research that I do, I'm a graduate student right now studying bioanthropology. So I have a couple of degrees in biology. I was taught it from somebody else, and now I work in a lab as a graduate student researcher doing actual.
It's quite a strange question that he's saying, what are you getting from evolution? What we're getting is knowledge about the circumstances which brought us into existence. It's a really strange question, comparing that with belief in the existence of God. It's not, it just shows that he's completely out there. He's not really connected with this issue at all. Science provides us with knowledge, provides us with a concrete framework for dealing with the world. It's practical, it's useful, and it provides us with accurate knowledge. We can make predictions, etc. Religion is completely different. It's got no evidence to it. It may have a use in the sense that it's like a lucky rabbit foot, but really in addition to that, I don't really see that it's got any other use to it at all.
Research testing hypotheses about human evolution. That's what I do, but it doesn't matter which one's which, because the understanding of evolution that we have is a huge driver in medicine, in agriculture, and several other things that make your life better. If you've been to a doctor in the past ever of your whole life, you have benefited, for the past 200 years, you have benefited from the study of evolution, because we understand evolution so we can make better medicines. If you have gone to the grocery store and bought food in the past 200 years.
Okay guys, I'm going to end the video there because I remember the end of the conversation. Nothing really much else happens of any interest, but I just thought that was interesting because of the fact that he's first believing in a God, and then he's looking into which God that is. But the hosts are sort of acting like that is quite like they're dumbfounded by it, but actually it's really very common. It's very common, and I would wager that probably 8 or 9 out of 10 theists out there, that's how they start. They first decide, how did all this get here? There must be a God. Now I believe in God. Let's think about what God's like. No, it's quite common. That's how it's done. I'm not saying it's right. I believe Dave is right. He's got it the wrong way round. First you define something. First you develop a hypothesis, and a hypothesis has got to be detailed, and then you go out and find if there's evidence to support it. You don't go out and find evidence to prove it, because that's confirmation bias. You look at the evidence and you see whether it supports the hypothesis. So that's all from me. Hope you enjoyed that. Hope I wasn't too much of a douche by laughing at this Christian. I'll be back again soon with another video. Thanks for watching. Bye.